Hello everybody! Welcome back to Europa Universalis 4 Extended Timeline Mod AI Only Campaign on the in July 2008. So, where were we? Oh yes. Well, I was just thinking about this actually, and I realised there's something very wrong with Europe. It's the fact that Norway is completely gone, and we didn't mention it for 2 episodes. I do apologise for that. I remember seeing it in the chat, but I just didn't get to talk about it. But anyway, we are back. Things are moving on. Things seem to be a bit laggy. So let's just turn everything on, make sure we got development mode. As we can see, just a quick survey of the area. Looks like China, as always, is very densely developed, not as developed as in the final bookmark, however. So we have the Ethiopian-Yemeni Imperialist War. This was already talked about, but we'll go check up on that. The Indonesian-Thai Nationalist War, that is looking very interesting at the moment. The Israelite reconquest of Al-Quds, forgive me if I mispronounce that. The Russian-Japanese Imperialist War, and the Zambian Angolan Nationalist War. So let's have a look at Africa. Looks like we've got some Yemeni troops pushing in through the north of Ethiopia, of former Eritrea, and Somalian troops pushing through the south. However, Mogadishu has been occupied and being unoccupied at the moment. Down south, Mozambique is reconquesting most of what was taken by Tanzania. We're not going to get into that name change again, and my butchering of their name multiple times. Zambia looks like it's holding their own. I mean, it's a Zambian-Angolan war, but Tanzania and Mozambique are also in it. So Angola and Mozambique up against the DRC, we're just going to call them the DRC from now, Tanzania and Zambia. Let's see who wins here. I'd like to think the Angolans will win, but time will tell. Now, due to terrible logistics skills from Indonesia and a distinct lack of a huge navy, actually, I'm not even sure whether their navy is that small, but the fact is, they cannot land troops for some reason unbeknownst to me, and the Thai have just completely taken the Malayan Peninsula and most of Sumatra. Anyway, we will check up on the Israelite conquest. Russian-Japanese war is going nowhere. Looks like the Russians have regained some land back. Yes, they are. They're moving into Vladivostok very soon. And over here, the Israelites are in war. Let's see how they go against here. Saudi Arabia on their side, they'll probably win against Egypt and Palestine. Okay, now we had some more pop up. Seems to be a bit of lag now, but we're on 4 speed, so that's to be expected. Revolutionaries in Saudi Arabia, unfortunately they're going to be destroyed. Colombian, Venezuelan Nationalist War. It's going to be a pretty fair fight. A very fair fight. Almost too fair a fight. French-Brazilian Imperialist War. That's going to be interesting, to say the least. Who declared that? The French. Okay. Was the... Did they? Did they? Or did the... Yeah, they are. Okay, that was foolhardy of the French. I lost KN. I think that's it. We've checked up on most of the world. Now this is going to be interesting to keep our eyes on, because this has been a stalemate area for years. Drug cartels have been completely through the country. Venezuela is currently in a bunch of... Essentially, the government's collapsed and it's a failed state at the moment. Being originally a socialist state, it is now in a period of very, very shaky stability. I'm just joking. It's not stable at all. Whereas Colombia, on the other hand, though, it does have quite a few paramilitary groups. that have been in the area for 40 years, upwards of 40 years. They still have some stability in their country, which is much akin to their fellow neighbor, Venezuela. Anyway, Swazi-Mozambican nationalist war. I actually got that in one breath, but it wasn't too hard. So Mozambique is now fighting a two-front war. Swaziland has attacked from the south. Always knew you couldn't trust those tiny nations. But Mozambique looks like it is definitely going to lose this one. South Africa definitely storming in. There's going to be a no contest there. Angola is also at war with South Africa. Malawi is actually, I didn't see that earlier, but Malawi is in the war against Swaziland and South Africa. All in all, very interesting, but the Mozambicans are going to be absolutely hammered in this situation. Angola is still gaining ground, however, they may find themselves a bit contested in the south of Namibia, or former Namibia, in Karas and Namib. But that's all going to be very interesting. So how are the Ethiopians going? Even though the Ethiopians have a vast military and economic and in all ways just an advantage over the Somalis, they seem to be absolutely getting destroyed here, with most of the south of their country being occupied. I mean, if this was not a simulation and more real life, I would say the Ogaden and Werder areas have defected to Somalia, but that is not the case. And also you can see the cultural, the religious diversity of Ethiopia. Never ceases to amaze me, that either. However, we will get out of that mode for the moment, as it is all those lines everywhere get a bit weird. Nigeria is sitting pretty with their 55,000 troops, and they do have quite the block, as in quite the block, tiny nations that are not going to help them very much in a proper war. And Mali's lost land. Gabon, I don't think, has had its border change at all. No, they haven't. Same with Equatorial Guinea. Anyway, let's go check on things. A lot of wars have now ended. Let's go check in south of Africa. Zambia has expanded at Angola's expense. Swaziland has taken most of Mozambique's southern regions. Zimbabwe is the same. Or Zimbabwe. So Mozambique has lost most of the south and north of its country. Zambia has gained quite a lot of the south of Angola and former northern Namibia. Not the greatest of provinces here, but it would hurt Angolan pride, and this is quite a big win for such a poor country. Now, I think the Thai war ended as well. Let's go check on that. Ah ha ha! So, the Thai have taken all of the Malayan Peninsula, but they did not take the Riau Islands or Singapore, because Singapore was not in the war. But they've taken all of Indonesian-occupied Malayan Peninsula from the Indonesians. Very good. That will put them on a much greater equal footing to the Indonesians at a later date in time. However, we do have the Chinese threat at the top. Looks like the Indians are on the move. What are they doing? Let's have a look. It's India against Bangladesh. They lost out big time, and now they want some payback. And I'm assuming it's just to connect the former eastern states, which might as well be a new one state in this area now, as they suffered greatly at the hands of the Chinese, losing most of their area. It looks like we have some Confucian zealots in China. Ooh, China proper as well, and we have Manchurian separatists in the north. I have never seen this before. This is going to be quite interesting. One of the major players of the game actually may fall to separatists. Quite the thing here. They are going to fall greatly on the world stage and may be prone to attacks from Japan even. So what happened up here? Russia has lost Sakhalin. That was it. The only thing that changed hands was the full island of Sakhalin going straight to the Japanese. And that was... This is north-south, which makes sense because South Sakhalin was owned for a long time by the Japanese, North Sakhalin a long time by the Russians. And that was all very interesting. But we have a lot of separatists, and we may see quite the China... Quite the different China that is. And they're Assamese separatists, because India is not a proper unified state. In the south, Shan separatists, a lot of Confucian zealots. They're not going after the proper threat to their nation, though. They are going after all the zealots. Not the most intelligent move by China, but we shall see whether it works. So we have the Second Algerian-Moroccan Nationalist War. That looks like it's going to be pretty decisive, though we know for a fact that Argentina failed for many years at the hands of the Uruguayans, so we shall see. We have the Chadian-Libyan Imperialist War. Also, I missed something. So the Chadians are going after Tajahi. There we go. Tunisia actually occupied after having occupied and annexed most of the Libyan northern coast. I do apologise. They have taken the less valuable land and taken most of southern and eastern